You are listening to a Pod Bros exclusive.
All right, boys and girls, we are live, and welcome to episode 75, Take Aim Outdoor Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brandon Hammond. Super pumped to have my main man and another podcast host, Will Bradley, on from his show, The Natural Born Hunter. Will, what is up?
Not much, man. Just enjoying this beautiful, cold, sunny day here in upstate New York.
That's awesome. I know we were just talking about the fancy names for the storms and whatnot, and it's freezing here in Michigan as well. It's absolutely brutal.
Is it ever not freezing in Michigan? Michigan seems like a cold place.
It's horrid. It's horrible. I don't know why we live here, to be honest. I don't know. Apparently, you have to like to fish to live here, and those days are long gone. I don't fish anymore, so I have no business being here. None.
There's a lot of deer though, right?
There used to be, but we kind of like a lot of the Midwest. 3 years ago, we had that EHD breakout, and kind of killed 90% of the herd where I hunt. Actually, a lot of places up north of me, they still have some good deer numbers, but Michigan as a whole, it's two separate worlds because we have the lower and the upper, but it's not prime for what we call trophy country by any means. It takes a lot for a guy here to kill a 3-year-old, but I mean, yeah, we have some deer, but no joke, 3 years ago, I would say on my main farm I lost 90% of the deer herd, so it's been a rough couple of years. Yeah. So, but
well, I'm sorry for your loss.
I know, it's hurtful, man. It was like, when you have to hunt for a deer track, it's something scary when the same field you'd sit in, you'd see 40 deer a night in, so it's brutal.
It's interesting talking to you because I'm sure for an outsider or somebody who's not a hunter listening to this podcast, they'd be like, why does this guy care so much about the deer,
Right. Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, like, I don't know, hard to explain, but when you walk around and you find 20 deer in a day dead, I mean, you feel nothing but sadness and remorse. And I mean, nothing. And it's not the remorse of not being able to pursue the game. It's remorse that, it's a beautiful creature that died in 48 hours due to a disease that we don't have a cure for. So it definitely is sad.
Yeah, it's the loss of life and the value that you as a hunter, put on that, the value of those lives. I think that's another maybe misconception when people think of hunters. Is they don't
absolutely.
think about, how much we care about the animals that are out there.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I know there's a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, and I don't know how to quote it verbatim, but basically saying how there's no words to describe our connection to the animals, in layman's terms. But that's basically what he said, and I can't even agree to that more. I mean, it is absolutely the truth. I try to explain it all the time, and you probably do too. It's a love. It's like family to us.
Yeah, it is. And I think you nailed it with that quote. Another one of my favorite quotes I heard from Jim Shockey, and it is, I think it goes, I don't hunt to kill, but I have to have killed to have hunted.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part and parcel. It's all tied together. Going out there what your intentions are. It's a difficult and weighty task you're undertaking, especially when me, and I don't know how everyone is when they do a kill, but my feelings are almost exactly the same every single time. There's that feeling of, okay, go down. You always hope the animal goes down within view, right?
Oh, and you always do, yeah.
In the moment you see it start to wobble, the instant it's almost like an overwhelming like you feel for the animal. You know what I mean? You instantly feel for the animal once it starts going down. And then when it's all over and you get up to it, it's the joy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know exactly after that 100 yards, that in line of sight, when it's gone and you don't see it go down, the first thing you wonder about is like, I hope I didn't make that animal suffer. You know, it's a
Yeah.
scary thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and even knowing you did everything right, I don't care who you are. I think there's always some small percentage in the back of your mind going, just hoping, just
Yeah,
hoping.
no, exactly true, man. Exactly true. It's a crazy relationship, and there isn't anything in the world like it where you can say within 100 yards, if I don't see it go down, those emotions change, and you start to worry. And emotions like a light switch. I mean, there's nothing in the world like it. And I guarantee you one thing: there is no emotion for those trapped cattle at the prison yard when they're about to be slaughtered. Those guys are going to work every day punching a clock. So there's totally different landscape between the two.
Let me ask you this: when you're eating a meal, right? You're eating maybe it's venison you took a previous season, and you know what deer it is. When you eat that, does that take you back to that place in time?
Yeah, it does actually. I just made venison chops 2 nights ago, and for 2 nights I looked at them, and thought about the hunt and thought about, you know, I called my father-in-law and he was with my son Maddox, and it's like 2:55, and I call him and he's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "I just shot one, man. I'm not gonna leave this tree until you guys get here." And both dinners, the same thing went through my head about just being able to do that and share my moment with all of us, and all of us getting to enjoy that, which is, I mean, again, it's crazy. There's just not many things like it.
Yeah, especially when you get to share that with, like you say, your son and your dad, and then you get to have the meals with them. That's a communal experience. That's that family bond we talk about when we go out hunting with our families, and it's very interesting because I see people post a lot of pictures of their food on Instagram, when
Oh
they're out
yeah,
at a restaurant wherever, and it always gets me of like that's the most connected these people will ever be to a meal is taking a picture of it that somebody else cooked, somebody else killed, skinned, prepped, did every step of the way. But when I look at my plate of food, I can look back not only through a butchering process or the harvesting process, but also a lot of times what that animal was doing months up until then.
yeah, absolutely. Well, just the experience of food we were talking about, and their people's connection with it, and one thing you were saying previously was that was their only connection, whereas like I had called my father-in-law, my son, and now we're eating, and having shared dinners. And I believe it was Steve Rinella said it on his podcast or Joe Rogan's, but we used to live in a tribal society, which we don't anymore. We're very individualized, very instant, and we live in just single or one married couple, and we've lost that sense of being where humans came from. And that's a weird experience to think like this animal that I'm providing or got the chance to provide for dinner brings back that kind of tribal and family experience.
Yeah, it does. And to tie into it, because I know we're going to talk a little bit about fitness today, is I was listening to, I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast, and they had a guy on who his whole thing is helping athletes move better, right?
Yep.
And it's
I was
like,
just listening to
were you
that
listening
today,
to it?
Will.
That's a
Yeah.
good podcast, man. And it was
Yeah.
interesting because I thought about it, and it's like I was out in the woods the other day. I had to get over a log, and it's like I was a little stiff. My mobility was a little stiff. The log was pretty high. I jumped over it, and I'm like, you know what? I really got to spend more time going over logs and doing things like that. And then I listened to the podcast, and I'm like, this all makes sense. We've taken ourselves as a society so far removed from nature and from what our bodies can do and should be doing a little bit more of every day. And not you and I in particular, but a lot of people have just turned away from hunting, whether they grew up and stopped doing it or maybe they were in a family and never started. But there's a lot of things that we as humans have done in the history of humans as for a very long time that we're just not doing anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just I don't even know, like, I've been doing something where I've just changed my training a little bit, where I've been doing a lot of stuff where I don't have a name for it, but kind of like balance and core. Like, Will, how you do cross cables for your chest?
Yeah.
For instance, I'll stand on one foot and do 10 reps. Then I'll stand on the other. Or before, usually, you got like a big base and you stretch out. And so I've been doing stuff like that, and I kind of see the similarities in it where I can tell, like, my left foot, I'm way more structured. And my right foot, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fall over. And, I got to tighten that core and tighten my quads. But all that stuff reminds you of how, like you said, it's not easy for us just to hop up on a log and then hop off because we don't do it anymore.
No, and I guess that's where I can kind of see the appeal of the Spartan races and the Tough Mudders and all the obstacle course racing. But even then, a lot of that is pretty one directional, I'd say, compared to the things I would do as a kid. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I don't think I spent much time on a flat surface.
Right. No, I agree.
Always climbing trees, building forts. I tried digging a pond once.
That's pretty legit, Will.
It did not work. It did not work. but I also did build a raft that successfully floated across another buddy's pond. I mean, there was just things that I think you do when you're young that through the way the world works today is now you're always on flat surfaces, you're always on straight paths. Like we're really just kind of streamlining everyone's process, taking the curves, taking the bumps out,
Oh, absolutely. Everything's made to be a level 0, not the chart of difficulty, right?
Yeah. It's
it
kind
really
of
is.
a bummer. And you know what? I am as guilty as the next people for falling into it and not really noticing. But I'm gonna start working on changing some things up, including my training. Because even though CrossFit, which I love, actually, it would still, I guess, be considered CrossFit because CrossFit, I guess, encompasses everything. But I'm gonna change up my indoor. Let's say I'll take some things outdoors more often now, and a little more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that just a great word is the word from the late '80s and '90s: cross training. It just be very Bruce Lee in your approach. Take the best of everything and make that yours. And if you do that, there's obviously no way you're not going to be successful. It's going to be trying. It's going to be difficult. But, man, you're going to be much better because, like you were saying, Will, if you think about the moment where we transform from these kids to adults, how many of those do you remember as kids that were like these phenomenal shaped, phenomenal athletes, and now you're like, look at what adulthood did to you.
Oh, there's more than I can count. I'll tell you what, there's more people that happened to than there are that it didn't happen to.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Adulthood's ruining us all.
It is, man. It's a killer.
Not many little kids dying of stress.
We should start a campaign, Will, to stop adulthood.
Stop adulthood.
Now.
You know the problem is, though, there's some guys that'll take that and think, all right, video games and collecting toys all the time.
That's true. There's always challenges, damn it.
You know what I think is important? And this is something I wanted to bring up to you because it's something I've been thinking about, right? And it is the importance of what someone like you is doing with your podcast, right? Hunting needs voices out there. And I want to say to anyone out there listening to the show is if you if you've got something original or something you're really passionate about with hunting, whether you start a podcast, a website, a Facebook page, anything, go for it, because while there are companies within hunting that will sponsor things, there's no hunting itself isn't sponsoring anything. You know, it needs a voice. It needs good people with original ideas to help grow the sport.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for that, and the same to you, because we've said it 100 times and continue to, that we are such a powerhouse when it comes. We're the Powerball. We're the billion-dollar Powerball when it comes to conservation. And make no mistake about it, that we're the guys that do it. We're the guys that put in the money. We're the ones that have these public lands. And anybody that wants to participate in it, it's so easy. If you go one time and you buy your tag, you just participated in it. And if you, like Will said, have any sort of passion that's deeper than that, by all means, get out there and do something. It does not matter. If you make a calendar or a podcast, it's so important, like Will said, because there's not enough people that are well-spoken and passionate that have what it takes, cojones-wise, to get out there like me and Will do and put yourself out there for people to judge or say whatever. But we're doing it for one reason, and my reason only is to promote the sport of bow hunting, promote the outdoors. That's my only agenda.
And that to me is the best agenda. And I mean, don't get me wrong, things like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and what is it, Pheasants Forever, and some of these organizations are great, right? And they have their causes. But in a big general sense, there's bow companies that'll sponsor things and things like that. But hunting needs your voice. It needs you to bring people to it and into it in a good way, in a positive way. And that's the thing. If you do decide to go down this path of starting something for yourself, I'll tell you this: it's going to be hard. It'll cost you more than you think, and the better you get at it, the more haters you will have. I'm obviously not that good at it because I don't have that many haters yet, but I'm hoping to have a lot soon.
After today's show, Will, you'll have tons. Trust me.
Tons of haters? Good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. That's what I feel like. I noticed. So get this, right? The other day, I'm reading through something Cam Hanes post, and it was like somebody smack talking him, but it was like the nicest smack talk I ever saw. Like at one point, the person says, "Take your filthy skills," and they spelled "filthy skills" one word with a Z, and they hashtagged it, and go out hunting. And I was like, did this guy just drop one of the greatest hashtags ever on like a slam post? I laughed at it because now it's being used in bow hunting. Bow hunters are now hashtagging it. And I'm like, oh, man, I wish I had a hater like that who would give me great material.
That's phenomenal. I know I see it a lot, like you said, Cam. I see a lot on, I just saw it today, like 10 minutes before we started the podcast, on the Twitter, Lee and Tiff's Crush handle. I don't know, one of the tweets was deleted, so I didn't really get to the bottom of it, but it was them basically saying, like, we bought, just a few hundred acres out of millions, and there's millions more around us. Go buy your own. And It is the truth. Like, we're naturally jealous of others that, either they fell into something, but from that point they made it succeed. So, it's natural for people to do this stuff, which is sad, but you can't take away from the person that started it and ran with it.
No, and I catch myself being jealous sometime. I'm not going to sit here and lie like I'm above it, but I will talk to myself and be like, come on, Will, get your head right. And usually I'm able to pull my head out of my own butt and, compliment the person on what they're doing, and recognize it for what it is my own self-consciousness. That's all it is. All it's doing is maybe exposing something I'm a little more self-conscious about and makes me want to work harder.
Absolutely. I mean, there's always, and Will, especially in the outdoor industry, that there's always going to be somebody that rubs you the wrong way. There's going to be people that don't deserve that spot, and it's frustrating. It really is, and sometimes there's a few of them that like I won't delete off social media because I have to know what's going on, and part of me is jealous because they got that spot and are undeserving of it. And you know, like you just said, I have to desensitize that sometimes and say, you know what, this is just what I know of that person. Maybe I'm judging and maybe I'm being over dramatic. I don't know them that way. Maybe they deserve everything they got. So it's hard to take that step back, but I think, like I said, it's just natural. That's sadly a bad emotion in all human beings.
It is. Here's two things I've tried. Maybe they'd help you out with that. Is one, if there's someone like that, I'll try to kind of tilt my perspective on them and try to put a more positive spin on it and actually actively work towards recognizing their achievements, maybe complimenting or sharing their posts or something like that. Or two is, if it's someone who I just think's a dick, I'll just block them. Like if it's someone who I just can't come to terms with no matter what, or maybe they've slighted me more than once, I take them right out of my life, and I'll tell you what, there's no one I've done that with that I regret doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue to where it's a negativity, where it bothers me. It's just more of like, oh, like I cannot believe it sometimes, And it's like a double-edged sword because I leave it there purposely to see the crap.
You're doing it to yourself.
I do it to myself. It's ridiculous,
dude,
right?
Here's what I do. Make them your friend. Become friends with them. I think that's the best thing you can do is make friends with that person.
Oh, I know. Well, that's what I mean. When I get to the bottom of it, I'm like, I could be totally judging in the wrong direction. This person could be awesome, and excuse me, and maybe he deserves a moment that I reach out and give him kudos or something.
90% of the time I do that, I'm wrong, and it turns out the person's awesome. That's what I found. The hunting industry as a whole is actually full of really nice people. I think there's just so much cannibalization of the industry. People have to go after other people's foundation if we don't bring more people into the sport, that
right.
People become very protective of what they have, and that makes them a little closed off. But I think as if more people, positive people, get into the sport, you're going to see that go away, and you're going to see a lot more positivity.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There's been a change in the industry where it has been a certain age class, and they've been at top of that heap for a long time. So now that it's got to evolve and there's got to be some changes, I'm seeing better and better people emerge from the industry, which I'm really, really excited about and excited to be a part of.
Yeah, you stopped by the Mountain Ops booth at ATA, right?
Yeah, I did. We chatted there for a minute.
Yeah, I thought so. And those guys, man, I'm telling you, they are doing it the right way. The positivity and the atmosphere they're building, I think, is going to be contagious. Or it is contagious.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say, they do a great job, and you can't help but look and see what they're doing. And I wish I had skills like that, to be honest.
That makes two of us.
So, but yeah, I had a good time chatting with you, and you introduced me to Casey. We got to talk for a minute, and I thought that was really cool, and got to use a little bit of like, hey, this is sort of what I do for a living. I know a little bit about supplements, and we chatted and shared a moment, and he was like, hey, as soon as you get back, reach out to me. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, they're good dudes. They are good dudes, and I'm really hoping what they're doing catches on, because the more of people working together, the better this industry is going to get. Yeah,
absolutely. It's the only way to grow it. To grow any business or industry is networking, right? And, basically, what are we doing today, Will?
Yeah, growing the industry, baby.
Yeah, we're doing it. So, but with that segue, Will, why don't you tell me about your podcast?
The Natural Born Hunter podcast. I co-host it with my buddy Phil. He's out of Denver, so we do a little over the internet show, and we focus on a lot of bow hunting, fitness. Although we tend to reach out if we see something really cool like the Dr. Duck stuff. We had him on. We like to cover all hunting really and fitness because we both do train to hunt, and just try to get people we find really interesting on the show to talk to. I call it filtered excellence because we really try to avoid having anyone who's kind of on the borderline of being interesting or cool. We just try to have things we're really into on the show.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that, Will. When you and Phil kind of came up with your idea of, like, however you wanted to start it, and you're like, this is our project, how has that changed since you guys started?
We don't swear as much anymore. We're a little more, a little down on the swearing. But other than that, not much. It started because I was listening to this podcast, Weightlifting Talk. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's hosted by John North and Jared Enderton, who have both won national championships for weightlifting. And I thought, listening to it, I really enjoy this. I'm learning a lot listening to it, getting a lot out of it, being highly entertained. I should do this with bow hunting and fitness, because those are the two things I'm passionate about. And I should host it with Phil because he knows way more than me about all this stuff. So we actually need somebody who knows what they're talking about. And, I know Phil can talk, so I figured and ask him, see if he wants to do it. And he's totally on board with the idea, so we just went from there.
That's super cool. I know reason I asked that is I know I had one goal in mind with my podcast, and it seems that it went from just talking about bow hunting to talking to people that I'm, like you said, interested in, but I really feel that it's turned into just promoting the industry and promoting the outdoors. And if that's the natural direction it's taken, which it seems, I'm cool with it, and I'm having a better time with it.
I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people will start with one idea in their head, and as they find their footing in their legs and what they're doing, it'll define itself. Like the two of the guys who I have on my list of the top 3 guys I want to interview on the show, 2 of them aren't even hunters, or not really hunters as you would think of a hunter, but they're people I find really interesting and I want to interview. So it's always for me, I can't speak for Phil, but for me it's always been about bringing people to the show I think our audience will enjoy and I'm going to really enjoy talking to.
Absolutely. Why don't Will, just give everybody, while we're talking about you in the show, why don't give everybody a rundown real quick where everybody can find Natural Born Hunter at?
You can find it on iTunes. Just search Natural Born Hunter, or I think we're also on Podbean and Stitcher. We're on Facebook, Instagram, naturalbornhunter.com, and YouTube. So you can check out all those places. Subscribe, leave us nice comments, or don't. It's up to you.
It's always nice when they do, though.
It is nice. It is nice. I love hearing from our audience. I love it. I think hearing from your audience is probably one of the best parts about doing anything like this, because I can't always think of great ideas. And sometimes if somebody's like, hey, you should really talk to this person, it's usually in someone interesting or someone cool. It'll be worth checking out and maybe get on the show if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you ever take it as just form a motivation when you have a moment of weakness where you're like, we're just not going to record this week?
I always want to record. The tough thing is scheduling wise, whether we can or not, But I always, it's my podcasting. I'd talk all day if I could, but
right.
there's sometimes it's just like, man, I thought this I thought we'd have more listeners by now, or I thought we'd be farther by now. You know what I mean? There's always those moments of doubt where you're like, what am I doing? Is this gonna do anything? This guy is so much better than me. But it's like I have to talk that negativity right out of my head.
Yeah, you have to, right? I'm to be honest, same boat. Like I'm disgusted every day because I'm like the same thing, the same emotions, the same feelings. Like, but I do know that there's people that enjoy it, that talk about it, and I'm giving somebody like you are that moment on their lunch break or their drive to work at time that's more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, I don't care if it was only my mom listening. I still do it. But there's those, it's like you ever feel like, man, I should really be working harder at this, or this should be easier. It's just those moments. You know what I mean? That self doubt that creeps in. I hate self doubt. Hello?
Sorry, Will, I lost you 1 second there.
Oh, I was saying I hate self doubt, and that'll creep into my head, and it's something you just have to talk out of yourself.
Oh, absolutely, it is. And it's funny because I mean, obviously, it's another one of those superhuman natural instincts that we're built to survive, and sometimes I think that fear of succeeding makes us want to go right back to that comfort zone where, like, like, oh, if I quit now, nobody cares. But if I keep going, you know, who knows what could happen? My whole life could change. And a lot, almost all of us, there's that fear, and it's weird to think like we could have a fear of succeeding or providing something more.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's like that. You also have that. Like you say, if you quit now, it's over, gone in the history books, disappeared from the earth. There is no more. You know what I mean? If you decide to quit, you will never get where you were going to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird because I don't know the psyche, if it's a subconscious thing or what it is, but I know we have it, and I know sometimes we got to use every motivational tool in our toolbox to kind of keep us going sometimes. And I'm not afraid to admit that I'm totally human and totally am always looking for one more thing to kick me in the ass, so to speak.
Oh, I think it's totally important to always be constantly looking for more motivational tools. Like when I started really getting into shape, I would watch the Cameron Haynes Beast Mode bow hunting video over and over again. I'd watch C.T. Fletcher videos over and over again. I'd watch E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher over and over again. Just there's Rocky videos, any kind of inspirational video I could find on YouTube. I would listen to before, during, and after my workouts, just to keep myself on track and going.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's one thing just recently I'm having a hard time with because I work in a gym all day. It has taken that luxury of getting pumped up to work out away. And so right now I'm going through that struggle every day, just like I don't want to lift that. I don't want to move that thing, So
you know what I'd recommend to you is finding. Do you have a workout partner?
no, I don't because I work out when I'm not making sales or cleaning the gym or cleaning the bathrooms or, you know, so it's really unstructured for me, and I don't want to do that to a workout partner.
I'd find some structure then. I'd get some structure because that's the easiest thing to do. You know what? If you have to, wake up 1 hour earlier and get there early. And be like, hey, who wants to go early? I get up at 4:15 in the morning so I can work out at 5 and get to work by 7. And it's tough. There's a lot of times I don't want to do it. I'll tell you what, if I had to, I'd wake up 1 more hour earlier just to do what I had to do. But that I can do that with my schedule, but it's making something consistent and also working out with the group I do, that keeps me motivated.
Yeah, that's a good thing for sure. Which I don't have that luxury because like my gym's 24 hours, so it's like, hey, I'll see you at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or 7 o'clock. It's so random when I see people or my friends that I could work out with. But no, you're absolutely right. That's the best tip. I have to somehow figure out a balance of dedicating a structured time for me so I know it's go time.
Yeah, you got to take care of Brandon. Brandon's got to be taken care of so he can take care of everyone else that depends on him in his life.
Yeah. You know what I really miss the most though, Will? I miss the drive from the house to the gym to, just take that time at that focus time of 10 minutes to like crank the music up and just dream of, and
Slamming
think about
bars.
what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Dream of moving big weights. That is the best time. My drive's 15 minutes to the gym, and it is the best times of my day. On the way there, just imagining all the things I'm gonna achieve in the gym that may or may not happen when I actually get there. But like you say, it's that pump up. It's put the music on, feel the beat, and get after it. If I was you, I'd get to work if you have to somehow earlier than you're supposed to be there and get the workout done as soon as you get there.
Right. No, I mean, like I would love to do that, but since I own it, it's like, all right, here are my hours. It's 9, 10-hour days every day. And what happens is at the end of the day, I don't leave when I'm supposed to leave. I'm here with somebody and it's like, all right, do I really add that extra go time in the morning and now I'm here 12-hour days? Because I don't want to burn myself out, as far as clients go, because I do owe those
here's
people.
What you do.
So,
you get in there, you get after it, super efficient workout, right? No time to BS, no time to chit-chat. Sorry, clients, sorry, people in the gym. This is my time, headphones in, head down, get the workout done. Then, end of the day, it's time to go home. Sorry, I got family to go see. You know what? That's why I'm assuming you have other employees or somebody else there when you're not there.
no, I don't.
All right.
I'm it.
Gym runs itself then. Hey, I'm here from this time to this time. There's dudes I know who have, even though we're friends, I'm only going to get allotted so many text responses back from them.
Hey, Will.
They're that regimented.
Hey, Will, give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
I got something I have to deal with. All right. Sorry about that. Speaking of which, one of my clients just lost her phone and needed to tell me. So
It'll be in the lost and found if you find it.
I know, that's what I just said. But so yeah, no, you're right, man. So I'll get on with that. I'll leave it at that, But
have you read the 4-Hour Workweek yet?
Yeah, I have.
You know how he talks in the book about the time wasters?
Yes. Yep.
See, sometimes, and I'm worse at it because I'm probably the biggest time waster there is, and sometimes you just gotta grin and cut it out, even though you really kind of want to sit there and talk or help somebody out, do the right thing, or because you feel like you should. Sometimes you gotta walk away.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. It's so weird because it's like I have people that, which is a cool feeling, I guess, in a way. They'll come here to see me, and those are people like I just sat down at my desk and they walked through the door and they just want to come camp out on the couch and have 1 hour psychology session, and it you're right, man. There has to be a cutoff switch, and I got to get to that point where, we have a lot more balance.
Yeah, you know what? And I think you'll find out you're a lot happier, even though it'll probably be tough to get it done in the beginning.
No, you're right. I've been trying for a long time, and I just am so focused on keeping gym members happy that I sort of just let it abuse me and take advantage. And Yeah, I got definitely, man. You're right. Got to get back to
Here's
that point. So.
here's the thing you got to think about too. That keeps happening. Eventually, you're not going to be happy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And how are you
Yeah,
going
I
to
already feel that way.
keep people happy if you're not happy?
Yep, exactly.
That's my other advice to people out there. Make sure you put your happiness first. Not to sound like a selfish dick, but it's a big thing. A lot of people want to fix other people, right? You see people get into relationships and they think, "Oh, I'll make this person happy. I'll take care of this person." It's like, nope, nope. Either they make themselves happy or it's just not happening.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. That is so true. And before you know it, there's a snowball of drama. you know,
Yeah, and then
because
it's done.
person's trying to be so helpful and so needy, or to attend to so many needs that it just causes issues. So everybody's got to have their own space and have to find that way for themselves.
Yes, yes, they do. The good, you got to take care of yourself first. That's it boils
for
down
sure.
to. Especially someone
Well, I
like
know.
you, multiple businesses, busy man.
Yes, yeah, so popular, even without the lack of a giant, awesome beard like yourself.
It's trimmed. It's short now. It got trimmed
Did
today.
you trim it?
Yeah,
Oh,
big
Jesus.
competition coming this weekend. I shaved my head and trimmed up the beard a little.
Well, good job, man. Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. You can't be afraid to change.
No, I love it. Yeah, that is super awesome. So, Will, real quick, give me one thing that almost nobody knows about you. Like, do you listen to Tupac on Tuesdays? Like, give me one good thing.
One good thing almost nobody knows about me. Huh.
Like, you like when nobody's looking, you really like techno music. I mean, there's got to be
No,
something.
see, here's the thing. I'm open and totally unashamed of anything I do. Like, I'll,
You share it
I'm,
with everybody?
yeah, I'm the kind of guy who, if I just downloaded like new, or not necessarily new, but if I've recently downloaded like a really great, what's his name? Shoot, I just did it the other day. If I download like a really great Elton John song, I'll go in the gym and I'll play it as loud as I can play it. Like anything I'm into, I feel like everyone should check out. So, unfortunately for people around me,
if Will likes it, everybody should.
yeah, like sometimes it'll be reggae. It'll differ musically. Geez, what's something people don't? I don't know. I watch a lot of documentaries, but I guess that's not really anything interesting. I have I have a figurine on top of my computer of Ric Flair, the Nature Boy.
My favorite, greatest wrestler of all time. He's the GOAT, if you ask me.
You think so? I would give it to the American Dream if it was up to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's the most underrated wrestler, probably because of WCW,
Right.
I think Dusty Rhodes just doesn't get the credit he's due. I think he's given the single greatest uh, promo speech out of any wrestler in the history of wrestling. I think his costumes were just, you couldn't get away with them these days and still be the hero. There's no way, right? The things he did shouldn't have been cool. They shouldn't have worked, and yet they did. His dancing was unbelievable, and he was the guy who I didn't actually grow up watching, but I got into later on in life. I mean, how many men can have like a bleach blonde, Jerry curl, mullet looking haircut and achieve that kind of awesomeness that he did?
I don't know. He did bring it, and I will say you have a pretty convincing argument right there. And I will definitely give him the trophy right now for most underappreciated, hands down.
He is.
Always
and,
has been.
He and it's sad because he's passed away recently, and I think eventually he will be recognized for all that he did and the greatness that he achieved. But anybody who's ever listened to the Hard Times promo he cut, which if you search on YouTube, Hard Times Dusty Rhodes, You'll find it. It's the best wrestling promo of all time. And I'm not even necessarily. I haven't watched wrestling in years, right? Years and years and years. Probably I used to watch it with my little brother because he was very into it back when the Attitude Era was big, right? The Rock, Stone
Yeah.
Cold, and all that. But before that is when I would watch it. Back when it was Macho Man. On Saturdays you could catch wrestling on whatever local channel had it on. But
The
what
main
I've always
event.
yeah, the main event. What I've always loved about wrestling has been the theatrics and the athleticism. Like you'll hear a lot of people say it's not a real sport, and it's like, well, they've created their own thing now, sports entertainment, because nobody can tell me the things they aren't doing aren't athletically impressive. You can't tell me. You're basically going to see a live theater performance where people are just doing incredible high flying stunts.
Man, I can't agree more. For years, I mean, it's so true because every little boy admires them, right? And why are they admiring these guys? For one, they're freaks of nature, not just physically, which is amazing because they are, but the acrobat. I mean, the ability and agility to jump, land, and 90% of these guys come to work the next day doing that constantly. I mean, they're heroes and gods to little boys, and there's something to that, and it's because they're, like you said, I mean, to me, they are some of the pioneers of modern day athleticism.
I would agree, and here's why.
Yeah.
It's like everything they do is over the top. It's something you've never seen in real life, and in real fighting, you're not going to see somebody pick somebody up and choke slam another dude. You're not going to see somebody do a pile driver on them, or some of these guys, they're finishers. I forget who it is, but when you pick somebody directly straight up in the air over your head, right? So you're just one long line, and you've got them up, and then you have to bring them down to the mat. That's an impressive looking sight.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is. And then to add that in with the just out of this world promos that so many great guys have come up with. I mean, like, I still say every time I get dressed up, I will say woo, like Ric Flair as loud as I can, and I will say styling and profiling.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I also love to do the Nature Boy.
There's so many great things. Like, I have buddies that they'll text me and they'll be like, it will be a video clip or a YouTube clip, and he'll say in the background, he'll be like, listen to Jimmy Hart. Like, you can't even see Jimmy Hart, but you can hear him on the megaphone. I mean, there's just so many great, oh man, it's what a life when you're a kid getting to watch that all the time.
Right. I mean, it's not as, I think wrestling's gone a little too far in one direction. They need to go back towards what they were doing back in the days of even like Stone Cold or Mankind or things like the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, the Ultimate Warrior's entrance used to be electrifying.
Yeah, I
coming
agree.
up, shaking the ropes, just going totally mad. Like, yeah, they're all a lot of them were juiced, but who cares? That's the one thing. Wrestling's like, it's supposed to be larger than life. It's supposed to be this great theater, this spectacle. It's not supposed to be MMA. I don't want it to be
No,
like MMA.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's supposed to be a Cirque du Soleil, is what it is.
Yeah, and that's actually probably the best comparison you could make to what's going on. I think it's closer to Cirque du Soleil. And those guys, you want to talk about just athletic studs. Look at the people, men and women in Cirque du Soleil. Holy cow. They're impressive as heck. It's
Have you ever seen one live?
Well, I haven't. I'd like to. I'm working on it. One of these days
well,
I
you
will
should.
be. Yeah,
And
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I've seen two in Vegas, and it's I can't even talk about enough about it. It's amazing. It's given me a new perspective on theatrical performances. It's that damn good. And matter of fact, me and my wife, it's her birthday, so tomorrow we're going to the Palace, Auburn Hills. They're doing a, my God, forgive me, and I don't want to butcher the name, but it's an Asian themed or Eastern themed like Cirque du Soleil that's traveling the country right now, and we're going to see it tomorrow. So pretty excited to I just got a text from Will about Dusty Rhodes. It looks like.
Yeah, check out. I just sent Brandon a picture of Dusty Rhodes. Tell me how that man became as big as he did wearing that outfit.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That is impressive.
He was like the Liberace outfit-wise of wrestling, or wrestling. It's really pronounced with A.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know, and the things he accomplished, he was the American dream. He was.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, but that is amazing. But yeah, man, I know we're getting crazy with the topics, but that's awesome.
We're way. Well, Shawn Michaels is a hunter, you know, so I'm sure we can tie this back in there somewhere. You know, you should reach out to him and have him on the podcast.
We should. We need to do that. That'd be phenomenal.
I met him at ATA last year. Really nice guy.
Did you?
Yeah,
he was there this year. I don't know.
I didn't see him. I wish I did. Did you get to meet him?
I've met him before, but I didn't see him or didn't get to talk to him this ATA show. But a funny just moment in time at this ATA, he's walking by me with that his partner that he hunts with, Keith Marks.
Yep.
And Shawn Michaels' voice, and I wish to God I could imitate it, but he goes, yeah, I can't do it, but he goes, let's go eat. He's like, I need food in my belly. And he said it just like that in Shawn Michaels' voice, and it was just like the craziest thing that Shawn Michaels just walked by, and he was like, I need food to get in my belly. It was hilarious.
You know, and it's that tells you, though, how far-reaching hunting is. When you think of all the different characters, people like, you know, I just saw Donald Trump Jr. was at the SHOT Show, and his dad showed up, right? Guys all the way from like that. Vladimir Putin, I don't know how you pronounce it. Putin, Hunter. You know, there's guys like Shawn Michaels. Hunting is universal and all over the spectrum with who it can reach.
It is, and it's awesome to think that. It's awesome to think it's in everybody's souls, whether they know it or not. And besides the ones that are so lunatic that they would, you know, just threaten to kill you and your dog and your mom and dad because you hunt. But anybody else outside of that, if you talk to them for 5 or 10 minutes, and you know, I've had many people will tell me, like, I don't get it, but I get your passion. So it does resonate with people. I'm losing my voice, so I'm sorry about that, but it resonates with people, and like I said, it's in people's souls, and people that don't hunt get it, and I think it's absolutely amazing what I saw, the video clip of Donald Jr. at the SHOT Show.
Yeah, I had heard him on Opie and Anthony before, and he is very well spoken when it comes to the topic of hunting and fishing. I know he's also big into fly fishing.
Yeah, he is. I thought it was really cool. I mean, he started his story with his grandfather, I believe, took him to Czechoslovakia in the summers for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And he was like, just go get lost till dark. And that's what he said he would do for 8 hours, come back at dark, and he said that was, you know, I mean, that's a dream as a little boy, you know, and it's never left that guy. And he's a multi-millionaire, New York City, I mean, craziness. And to see him up there, I just thought it was super neat to talk like that.
Well, that's the thing, and that's where the title of our podcast, Natural Born Hunter, comes from, is like, for some of us, like, I don't come from a hunting family, right? My grandfather did a little bit, but not on any kind of big scale with me, where he actually got me into it per se, and it was just something I felt like I was meant to do, and I started it, and it turns out it had been in me all the time, and I think for a lot of us, it's just something that is inside our souls. We're meant to be hunting. We're meant to be out there in the woods.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. So, well, man, I know we turned this into a Seinfeld episode.
We were supposed to talk about fitness.
We were going to talk about fitness and supplements, and now, sadly, we are out of time.
We'll do another one. We'll do another episode.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Will, I want you to come back and maybe a couple weeks or whenever. Let me know when you're free, and we'll dive into some fitness and supplements. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather talk about wrestling anyways. Wouldn't you?
Actually, I would love to do a wrestling episode. I think it would be awesome.
That's what we should do. We should get like one more person. I'll host it over Skype, and we'll do like we'll just do one on the greatness. You know what we'll do is we'll just get Shawn Michaels. We'll do like a crossover episode, and we'll try to get Shawn Michaels on as a guest. We'll talk about the greatness of hunting and wrestling.
Yeah, let's combine the two. I think it is phenomenal when I hear him talk and I hear Stone Cold talk and just their passion for the outdoors. I love it.
You're right. We could aim really high and try to get Stone Cold on.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Oh, I love it.
Amazing. I bet there's a lot more wrestlers out there that hunt too. It's just something you may not know about them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a word I like to use, a plethora. And there is a plethora of NFL players that hunt too that you just would never think. So it's super cool. But I would love to do a wrestling show, so we better hammer it down.
All right, I'm in. We'll talk about supplements when we do that one.
Yeah, we got to do that first. So, but Will, thanks so much for being on the show today. And one more time, just let everybody know where they can find you guys social media-wise at.
You can find us at Natural Born Hunter on Instagram, Facebook, naturalbornhunter.com, or on iTunes and YouTube.
That is perfect. And as you guys know, you can find us live every Tuesday, the outdoorpodcastchannel.com, podbros.com, iTunes, and make sure you check us out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And thanks again, Will.
Oh, if anybody wants to, they can get 20% off Mountain Ops by putting in the coupon code NBH20. I'll throw that out there. So if anybody wants 20% off your purchase, give it a shot.
Can't beat that deal. Yeah,
no,
for sure.
Thanks for having me on, man. This was a blast. No, Phil doesn't talk about wrestling this much.
No, we'll do it again for sure. But thanks for your time, Will, and we'll see everybody down the trail next week.